All right, you guys, I'm really excited because we have our National Marketing Director, Sean Myers, the Captain Sean Myers, I said on our flyer. Sean, you guys, he's a 100 Club plus National Marketing Director. He and Jen have been doing Juice Plus for over 25 years. And they're the reason that I'm here, which is the reason why you're here, by the way. So way back when I first got started with Juice Plus, I kind of had the ITC syndrome, and I thought, I don't need this stuff. And you guys have heard my story about how I went to conference, caught some vision, I came home, and I said I'm going to be a national marketing director. Well, the truth is I came home, and then everything went back to normal, and somebody invited me to a marketing plan get together at Sean and Jennifer's house. And I watched Jennifer and Sean go through the marketing plan and kind of talk about the business. And afterwards, I went up to Sean and I said, yeah, this looks pretty easy. I could totally do this. And he said, yeah, well, we'll see. And it kind of made me mad, honestly. I'm like, yeah, well, we will see, buddy. And I remember driving home thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Me and my big mouth. Now I have to do this to prove to him that I can do this. And Sean has been one of my biggest fans, my biggest supporters, my mentor. And he and Jen have created an amazing life because of Juice Plus. They've sailed around the world with their kids. They live in a beautiful home in Cherry Hills. They give back. They help with Colorado Uplift, which is a beautiful organization for inner city youth. And I saw you guys just did a really amazing event at your lake the other day on the boat, Sean, yeah?
That was fun.
So anyway, you guys, I really wanted Sean to come on tonight because I know that sometimes especially when we're first getting started, maybe we don't have a vision, or maybe we're frustrated, maybe we're stuck. And I wanted Sean to come on because it was Sean that made me realize that it is worth it. And I want him just to share his story and just maybe give you guys some tips that might inspire you like they did me. So Sean, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Reagan. Well, Reagan, you're a rock star. You guys are also lucky to have Reagan as an upline. She is amazing and a superstar in our company. I don't know how many people are on that are new, but the longer you're in the business, the more you'll find that out. So I've got, a few ideas. I've got 30 minutes or 20 minutes here that I wanted to kind of break down some things that have made a difference for me over the course of, what is it now? Almost 30 years with this business. I don't feel like I'm that old enough to say I've been doing anything for 30 years, but I have. And I thought I'd maybe just share a little bit of our story because when we first got started, I didn't have things that I'm going to share with you in place. I didn't have a lot of skills. I didn't have a lot of knowledge, but I had a lot of desire, if you will. Jennifer and I were 23 and 24 years old. We had, so I got something on my screen that says Kathy's iPod requested control of your camera. Should I accept that? No. Okay, good.
Don't worry about that.
All right. So when we first got started, it was really something that I didn't have a vision for. And I feel so lucky today that I fell into a company that even though I didn't have a vision, they had my back. They had credibility. They had an amazing vision for what this business was going to be, had an incredible history, and had an incredible track record. But I was pretty negative on the whole idea. I just didn't really see how a deal like this could work. And I'd had a few scars. I'd been invited to a few meetings. I think there was a Amway meeting that was supposedly a keg party when we were in high school. So, we showed up and there was no keg and there was a guy with a suit on with a whiteboard. And I was like, I don't know about all that. So, Jennifer decided to do it. And I'm not going to take the time to kind of go through that story. It's pretty funny, really. But one of my good friends kind of took her to a meeting when I was out of town on a job interview. And so she got started and got some good results. And if I'm going to probably throw one big key for you guys when you start a new person, one of our jobs as a sponsor of a new person is to get them off to a good start. You got to make sure that you don't just leave it to happenstance or chance as to whether or not they actually get some results. You got to kind of get in there with them. And we kind of got lucky. You know, we talked to people about the product. They were interested in the product, and those results kind of got me fired up. And you know, like I said before, we didn't have a lot of skills, but the company was there to provide us with all the training. They were there to provide us with that proven track record. You know, there's people that had already done it, that were already successful, that are already kicking it. So I was like, well, if I can just figure out how to do what they're doing, I should be able to win this. And I brought a few things to the table. You know, I brought that above average work ethic. I think I definitely have always had that. And that is, I think, critical if you want to be above average. If you want to be average, having an average work ethic. And, you know, there's a lot of cubicles out there for average people that just kind of want to hang out and have a job. That's not this business. But if you have an above average work ethic, you can build something huge. And I was very teachable. You know, I didn't try to reinvent the wheel. I didn't try to create my own brochures. I didn't try to go out and put my own talk and everything together. I was just doing what they were doing. And you have a great leader in Reagan to be able to do that. And I had a burning desire. I did have a burning desire. I was tired of being broke. I've been broke my whole life. And I wanted something to happen. And so when we first got started in the business, you know, we didn't have any money, and it wasn't really an insured idea that we were going to be successful. We didn't have that rocket ship growth like you hear a lot of people that are super successful in our business. In fact, it took me like 6 months to really recruit my first good person. I was not getting good people. I was selling a lot of product, but I wasn't getting a lot of good people. It took me quite a while. But once I kind of got that going and got a few good people, and in our business, it takes 5 good people to become a national marketing director, 5 good legs, sales coordinator legs to become a national marketing director. And, you know, I did that in the first year and a half, and then worked to get Jennifer there the next year and a half. And as we were kind of growing, you know, and really focused, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of, you know, and a lot of fun. I tell you, it's never more fun than when you're achieving your goals and things are moving until you actually start to be able to help other people do the same. I think that's the only thing that's more fun than winning yourself, is when you start helping other people break through barriers and break through ideas on their own. But the next piece for us was kind of one of those pieces a lot of people fall into. It's like we had success selling the product. We had success out there duplicating our business model, but I hadn't really had success as a visionary for my own life. I was listening to all the tapes. You know, back then it was cassette tapes. You know, I had and I think that's something today that we're all so busy and there's so much media and we're on the phone all the time. I started doing this a few months ago. Is I take at least 2 or 3 of my running around times, and I'm listening back to Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn, because everything's so busy. I don't have the time to do that like I used to, because there was nothing to do my 20 minutes to the office before. Now my commute is 5 minutes down the stairs. So I've actually had to kind of create that again in my life. And wow, what a difference when you are completely putting this positive stuff into your head every day, that what comes out, right? Because look, we're bombarded by negativity all the time. And one of the things I talk to people about all the time is to turn the TV off, turn the news off. Because the news is giving you problems that are intractable problems you can't do anything about. All it can do is make you worry. All it can do is make you upset. All it can do is fire you up in a bad way. What you want to do is take the time that you would be spending on those media outlets and focus it on what you want out of your life. And this is what I kind of came up with. And so I started way back in the beginning of our business, a 6-month goal planning session. So I'm going to give you just a few keys tonight that I think can make the biggest difference in your business. Look, you've got to learn how to talk about the product. You've got to learn how to talk about our business. Those aren't very difficult. In fact, we have an amazing amount of tools and media that'll help you do that. But before you're going to be successful in the business, you've got to have some reasons to be successful, because this business is easy to do and it's also easy not to do. It's $50, right? And nobody's going to make you do it. Nobody's going to fire you if you don't show up. In fact, we're going to love you whether you do a little. We're going to love you if you do a lot. And that's not necessarily the best success strategy for everybody out there. Some people need a little kick. They need a little boost. They need a little something, because it's not easy to fire yourself up. And that's why I said putting those tapes on can get you going. But the biggest thing that gets me going is exact attention to what it is I want out of my life. And that's where this 6-month goal planning session came in. And I was like, okay, I believe a few things, and these things have become self-evident to me. These aren't things that I knew before I got in this business. These were things I got exposed to, things that I heard, and then I related into my own experience, and I went, you know what? These are truths. These are real truths. The first one is, I create my own circumstances. If you're taking notes, I would put that down. I create my own circumstances. And I do a big training on this, and it takes too long for what the call is tonight, but basically it all boils down to you're thinking your reality on a regular basis, and what you think actually shows up in the world. It mirrors out here for you. Most people think that their circumstances create their reality, and they don't realize they created their circumstances. And because it's their education, it's their upbringing, it's where they grew up, it's how their parents were, it's my personality, it's just the way I am, right? And that is a great way to settle for stuff you don't want, by the way. It's a great way to justify a life you're not happy with. So what I've gotten into, over this last, probably I learned this maybe 3 years into the business, 2 to 3 years into the business, was that I had the opportunity to create different circumstances at any point in time, any day, any week, any month, all the way down to a moment by moment creation of whether I'm happy or sad. And people say, how you doing, Sean? I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing excellent. And they say, well, why? And I say, because that's choice. I have that choice every single moment. I don't have to worry about the circumstances outside of me to be happy inside, to be positive inside, to be motivated inside. I have that choice. So I choose that choice, and I choose it every single day. Well, if you get that as a habit versus blaming where you are for your life and your circumstances and the things that are happening to you and your health and your family's health and all those things, all of a sudden you get control. Because, as soon as you take your circumstances and you put them outside of you and they have power on you, you lost your power. You gave your power away, right? So that was a big one. Number 2, if you're not going up, you're going down. I got that. There's no static state in life. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. There's not a static state. Well, that was a really big learning for me, because I always thought that if I made enough money, then I would be happy because my bills would be paid, the stress would be off me, and I'd be at this spot, this imaginary spot that had a certain amount of material things, a certain amount of lifestyle. And guess what? That spot doesn't exist. Some of the least happy people in the world are the people with the most money, and some of the happiest people in the world are broke, living in the mud. So what's the difference, right? Why can that even be possible? Well, material things don't bring happiness, right? Growth brings happiness, and that's number 3. Growth equals happiness. And when I figured that one out, that was really interesting. And there was a lot of learning around that for me, because growth is not necessarily something that everybody goes for. Remember, when you're talking about growth, you're talking about becoming more than you currently are. Well, becoming more than you currently are is uncomfortable. That means you have to get out of your current comfortable circumstances. But if there's an equation in here that if you really do believe that growth equals happiness, and I don't have the time today to go through that entire equation, trust me, it's true. And if you look back on your life, you'll find the happiest times that you've ever had is when you broke through something, did something that either you or others didn't think you could do, or you helped somebody else break through something that they didn't think they could do. Those are the happiest moments. That's what we call celebration. That is achievement. That is happiness. So then I related that back to my 6-month goal planning session. And I thought, you know what? What if I just made up an amazing story about everything I want in my life? What if I just made it up? And I said, okay, let's go through the list. What do I want my spiritual life to look like? Well, let's just make up the coolest spiritual life that I could ever come up with. And I put that down. what would be the most amazing relationship I could have with my wife, Jennifer? And I put that down. When I ended up we started having kids, I was like, what would I want my kids in relationship with me to be like? And I wrote that down. And I just started doing this. And by the way, what happened was, and I didn't realize this in the beginning, I knew that I needed to update this all the time, otherwise it gets stale, right? So I just did it every 6 months. But what I realized was what I really want to happen is I want my goals to inspire me, not push me. I want them to pull me, not make me feel guilty that I have to do them. I want to wake up and go, wow, I can't wait for this day because I get one more shot at having everything I can dream of being the best it can possibly be. So I started doing those goals with these 3 things in mind, right? I create my own circumstances, and if you're not going up, you're going down, and growth equals happiness. And I started creating goals. And when Reagan talks earlier about, it's worth it to create an amazing life, all of the amazing things that we've done in our life were originally on one of those goal sheets. They all showed up. And if a goal is on the goal sheet and I don't do anything for 6 months on it, and it's important, I might put it on for another 6 months, but if I don't do anything for a year on a goal, I take it off because I'm not committed to it. I don't want to feel guilty. I get rid of it and I put something else in there. I may get back to it. It may be important enough to get back to, but I don't want stuff on my goal sheet that I'm not inspired about. Now, here's what's exciting. This business, the way that we do our business, let's just talk about the business real quick. Most amazing product. I don't think you could have a better product to go to the marketplace with. Most amazing company. You can't have more credibility, every day they make this business better and easier for us. And that's been going on since I've been with the business for almost 30 years. It's unbelievable when you look at all the different things that they are constantly focused on making this easier, better, and more duplicatable for us. So you've got the great product, you've got the great business, you've got an industry that's exploding. Wellness is the place to be. And you also have an industry in network marketing where this is the golden time to be in network marketing. It was a little tougher back when we got started in the late 80s, right? But today, this business, who wants a corporate job, right? Today, you want to be an entrepreneur. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, your best odds is to have something like this. And if you take something like this with your best odds and you throw the product and the company and the marketing plan and the corporate benefits and all that on top of it, it's unreal what we can offer people, right? It's not just an offering for us. This is an offering to society. I feel so lucky that every single day I get to go out and I get to not only change people's health, but I get to help them if they'll come on, if they're interested, change their wealth. And you know what? The number one reason for divorce is financial pressure. The number one reason for an awful lot of the big problems in the world, stress, health problems, everything, is financial pressure. And I can help them with that as well. So I think we have this amazing thing. So, okay, well, how's this amazing thing work? Well, you got to discipline yourself to talk to people on a regular basis. You've got to learn the skills. You've got to show up to the national trainings. You've got to get on the Zoom calls. You've got to turn it into something that's a regular business, right? That is actually working for you on a regular basis. If you'll work for it, it'll work for you. So how do you do that? Well, you do it. How do you get that drive? You do it because you have things you're going for. And this business, because of the fact that they do the shipping, they do the collections, they do all that stuff, you can dream up some pretty cool stuff. And, one of the things that Jennifer and I did, we lived on a sailboat on the backside of South Beach before we had kids. And then when our kids were a certain age, on one of the goal sheets, I was like, I want to create a bonding experience with my kids before they grow up to an age where I'm not cool, right? Because a lot of my friends were older and their kids, they weren't cool anymore. And I was like, some of them really did a great job when the kids were young, and that was a good experience. And some of them, it was a nightmare experience. And I'm like, I want to have a good experience. So what do we do? And I've always believed that relationships are about time in the game. And so I wanted to create more time in the game with our kids. And I realized that we actually were borrowing something from Wendy Campbell. Wendy Campbell is one of our national marketing directors who talked about her most favorite time with her kids was time when they go out to their lake house and play games, and they didn't have any electronics or anything, and they just bonded as a family. And I thought, wow, that'd be really cool. We should get a mountain house. And we tried to, we made a decision that we're going to go to a different mountain area in Colorado every weekend for a year, every weekend we can for a year, to figure out where we want to go. Too many options just to pick one. So we went once. The kids were in sports. Our kids, we had to limit them to 2 sports at a time. And so my quality time with my kids was driving them to and from their practices and their games. Literally, it was in the car. I mean, it wasn't that we didn't have the quality time. We had a residual income. We had a great business. Our kids didn't have the time. So I'm like, well, how do we break away so that we can actually create that? And I came up with an idea that we should sail around the world. And I won't go into how that whole deal went down. It was pretty funny when I, reached that with my wife, that we're going to go sail around the world. She knows when I say stuff like that, I mean it. But anyway, that ended up not quite around the world, but we did sail from the British Virgin Islands to Australia on that trip. Had the boat built in France. Anyway, I don't want to advertise out all these big things to be braggadocious or advertise, what amazing life we've had. But we have had an amazing life, and it all came from that 6-month goal planning session and this business having the opportunity to have freedom and flexibility. Because look, when I came back, I had people take me to lunch going, Sean, I don't understand. How did you break away and then come back and have the same amazing life that you had before you left? And I'm like, it's because of the opportunity. If I had a normal business where I had to ship the product and I had to do the payroll and I had to, create the marketing and I had to do everything that the company does for us, no way I get to go. Don't get to do that trip. No, again, I could do something else, but I couldn't do that. So when I say you can dream up any kind of a life you want, you can. But first you got to go to work, right? And you got to build a team. And that's why when we were gone, hey, we went on that amazing trip. Well, everybody else was building their dreams, and we had done a good job of coaching and building a team that was duplicating itself. So we didn't have to be there for it to operate. And that's the big promise. That's the ultimate idea. Because the things that give you freedom in life are time and money. You have to have them both. Because if you have time without money, you don't have freedom, right? You're bummed out. You can't afford your bills. There's people sleeping in the park tonight. They got a lot of time. They got no money, right? And then there's people with a lot of money that have no time. I've got people at a country club down the street. I got one friend, he makes $4 million a year, and he cannot figure out how to get out of the system that he's in. He's a big-time attorney, and he has no time, and so he sacrificed that. He can't figure out how to get time without having to sell the whole thing and be done. And so we have that opportunity here. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share tonight. Hopefully some of these things can make a mark for you. How long did I go? Did I go too long? No?
You plenty of time even for people to use questions.
If anybody wants some questions, I'd love to answer questions.
Yeah, you guys have to unmute yourself if you've got some questions. Sean, I took 2 pages of notes, and I've heard you tell that story 15 times. But I always get re-inspired by it because it's so true, and it makes me really grateful that I got to hear about this and get to go out and inspire people to do the same. And, I was thinking back to your trip, and I remember when you guys were planning your trip that you got this huge map that you put up on this wall in
the playroom.
I think that's right. And you had all these books. Like Sean took the time to take all these books to plan it out, but they also took the time to really prepare all of the leaders that they were going to be gone. And it's not like they were completely gone. They were still there by phone, and they were actually able to build their business. We had many a call while they were in some cool place in the middle of the ocean. So, that's what we get to do, you guys. It's a pretty amazing. I'm going to start with the first question. I know a lot of people will come on, and maybe they're a person that's come on with some skepticism, but they caught a vision, they got excited, but maybe they even left a big income because they saw the opportunity, but now they're a little worried about what people think. What would you say to that person?
Yeah, and you know what? That's very interesting that you bring that up, because when we first got started, the stigma of direct sales and network marketing and that idea was pretty large. So we had a lot of ITC and just kind of like, I'm really worried about what people think about, who I am, right? Which is normal. That's everybody thinks about that. And so we used to do a lot of work on that. Today, it's gotten a lot easier because, when you start stacking up, what our world looks like, what our income potential looks like, what we have to do, what we get to do for a job, and you start stacking that up to what is offered by corporate America today, it starts to look a lot better, right? And people, I think everybody got stung pretty hard in the downturn that happened in 2007, 2008. Like, your corporate job is not secure. It can get snatched away from you at any time. The same thing happened in 1987 when the stock market crashed when I was going into the job market. The 1987 stock market crash put everybody on the streets. That was the end of lifetime employment. So the first thing is I'd say to those people is like, look, you need to be more proud about what we have. What we have is a better deal. What we have is a more fair pay plan. What we have is getting paid what you're worth, not getting paid what the politics will allow. What we have is no glass ceiling. What we have is a product that helps people, not just something that makes money. What we have is an ethical leadership team that's been around since 1970 that cares more about their distributors than they do their own personal gain. What we have is unbelievable. So in the marketplace, there's lots of opportunity, especially today. I mean, we're in full employment. You can do anything you want. But what's going to create the biggest legacy for you in your life is creating a legacy of helping people. And like I said, we get to help people with their health and their wealth, two most important things to people's lives. And we get to do it in an inspirational way. When we get our grateful list going, right? And this is one of the things that I always suggest everybody do is make a list of what you're grateful for, right? Make a list of what you're grateful for in this business. Make a list of what you're grateful for in your life. By the way, this is a great thing to start spurring on your ideas of what you want your life to be. Because if you can't make a long list of things you're grateful for, well, let's start dreaming some up that you should be grateful for, and let's work your life into that idea. But in that list of gratefulness, Jennifer and I, it's kind of funny. We have a couple of investments that are going to pay off huge for us, and we've talked about what are our goals going to be like when we have, I don't know, $50 million or some kind of crazy amount of money. What would we do, right? And we started really thinking about it, and it's like we would do this. I mean, so we stopped doing this for money a long time ago, right? It's like, the money only motivates you so far, right? You can only, I don't want a bigger house. I don't want anything into your cars. That's it. I got it, right? I don't even want another big boat. I'd rather rent one and have somebody else deal with it. So what is it that's going to motivate us? Well, what motivates us is helping other people realize their dreams. It's inspiring. It's fun. It's addictive. But why is it fun, inspiring, and addictive? I'll tell you why. Our customers love us. We love our customers. Our distributors love us. We love our distributors. Our company loves us. We love our company. Because the entire system of the marketing plan is people helping people. It is a support structure. That's not normal in life. In fact, I'll give you an example. So you say I have all this money, and I'm a big believer in giving back. To much who's given, much is expected. I believe that, and I'm on the board of several charities, and we give a lot of money. We give our time, we give our focus, and we're going to become bigger givers, as we become more wealthy. But I can't work on those problems, negative problems, every day. I can be a big giver and I can help, but I'm just not built and structurally built to show up every day and just deal with all the negativity of the charities that we give money to. I'm not built like that. I want this. I want this. And what do we do now that our kids are starting to empty nest? We don't really have a full empty nest yet because our daughter's working for Amazon now, and our son is, talk about a hard company to work for. Woo, she's going to get a real education how cool this thing is. We expect her back real soon. But one of the things that I look at is that we're just going to start doing it around the world. in cool places all the time, right? So I would tell those people that if you think you're getting a little hit in social status, right? You know, caring what other people think is a road to unhappiness. You know, it just never really works out that you're going to be able to be happy because someone else's approval. You gotta get your approval from what you do and what's good, not from what somebody else thinks. You know, there's still people that call me Juice Boy, and I love it.
And I do think they also need to remember we're building a business, and we're not trading time for dollars. So you have to take that in the beginning, you have to take that income value that you put on there off and realize that you're building a nest egg that's going to come in perpetually. Yep. You're going to get paid forever. You can will this to your kids. Yep. It's amazing.
I've got people that I got on in 1993 when we first brought Juice Plus out, and I've been paid every single month since 1993 on those customers, right? Yeah. I mean, that's how you build it up over time.
That's right. All right, you guys, I'm going to open it up for you guys. What do you guys want to ask Sean? Anything? Unmute yourself or raise your hand and I'll unmute you, whatever. Kath, you're going to have to, it won't let me. You're going to have to unmute yourself, hon.
Okay, there you go. Dog. I had a quick question, Sean. This was awesome. How did you feel? Like, tell us about your first year, just because it's my first year. I'm under Patty Benson and Bobby Benson. So what happened your first year?
It's rocking, by the way.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So you don't hear my dog.
So I, first year, wow, it was 30 years ago. Let's see, I got up and I went to work, and I got up and I went to work, got up and I went to work, got up and I went to work. The first year, obviously, for me was a lot of learning. I mean, I really had an amazing amount of information coming at me on how I should do this, what I should do. I mean, I was not a very good presenter when I first started, right? So how do you become a better presenter? Present a lot. I didn't have great contacts, so I was talking at the gas station. I used to go to the Wendy's salad bar line back when Wendy's had salad bars, and I would go through the line, but I would make sure I went through with somebody that I wanted to talk to while I went through the line. I'd go over and I'd eat a salad, and then I'd wait for another person, and I'd go back through the line. And so I'd usually cycle about 3 times at Wendy's. And then, so I did everything. It's easier today than it was then. Back then, we ran ads in newspapers. We did postcards. We did all sorts of things to be able to get a hold of people. With social media, you can get a hold of a lot of people quickly, right? I mean, and not just social media. There's so many more things that connect people. Leads groups and Optimus clubs. There's just more of everything today. So you just gotta, if you're having a difficulty with prospecting, focus on it and get after it. You should have more people to talk to than you could possibly talk to. If you don't have that problem, talk to your upline, talk about what you're doing, get focused, make sure you have an overflow of people to talk to. Okay. Number 2, get better at talking to them, right? Get better verbiage, get better language, get better formulas, get good at doing Facebook Lives, get good at doing all these things that we do. The people that are doing these consistently, their businesses are on fire. So, what I did was kind of what was available back then. I remember when the first fax machine came out. That was like unbelievable technology, right? And we had a broadcast fax, because before the broadcast fax, when we wanted to put a meeting on, we had a phone tree, right? How are you going to get a hold of people? There's no internet, right? There's no post-it board. There's, you got to call everybody, right? So you got to call these 10 people, and then they got to call those 10 people. And we had a phone tree. And then I had the broadcast fax, right? Everybody buys a fax machine. I press one button, and it sends out 25. I could do 25 at a time, and I could do like 15 of those. And then the internet, email, and all this, right? Now we're overwhelmed with how do you communicate with people? You communicate with people, by the way, however they communicate. You got to communicate on their channels. You cannot leave phone messages for a texter. and you cannot email somebody who doesn't read their email, right? You got to figure out how they communicate. But yeah, so I mean, that's what I remember my first year 30 years ago.
That was perfect. Thank you. Communicate on channels. Thanks a million.
Any other questions?
Don't be shy, guys. You got the guru. Anything.
So you mentioned Facebook Live. What is that? How do you use it?
Well, I don't really do a lot of Facebook Lives, but my wife does, and we do as a company an incredible amount of them. And so basically, it's a presentation that's being done on Facebook, and you advertise it out. And we actually have scripts and formulas for that. And you can get that from your upline. You can get that from Reagan.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And also, if you're in the 90-day game, we do a lot of Facebook Lives on Sundays with little tips on just ways to build your business. So
yeah, those are really good ones. And when I say I don't do them, I don't set them up. I'm on them, but I don't actually.
Yes, you are. I was going to say, wait, you do do them.
I don't do, but I don't do it. So when you ask me how, I don't have all the logistics they put me on.
There's a lot of things that work, you guys. So if like for Richard, if Facebook Live's not your thing, maybe coffee one-on-one is your thing. It all works. So it kind of depends on who you're talking to, your age group, all of that. So don't think that there's a magic answer. There's really not. It's just, how do you get eyeball to eyeball, ear to ear, heart to heart with somebody? That's how you do this business. And it's really about, how do I get the information into somebody's hands so they can decide for themselves? And how do I invite them to join our mission so they can inspire other people? That's what we do. It's pretty simple.
Yep, I do it on the airplanes, I do it at the golf course, I do it at the restaurants, I do it wherever I'm in. And I'm looking for sharp people. I'm not looking to save the world on the recruiting side. I'm looking to save the world with a product. But on the recruiting side, I want sharp people that want something that are going for it. I learned that lesson a long time ago. You cannot push spaghetti across the table. It just balls up on you.
And it's not fun. It's so demotivating for yourself if you do it.
You can lead spaghetti, but you cannot push it.
That's right. All right. Well, going once. Anybody have one more thing?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hey, Ray. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Are you playing any golf?
I have been playing a little bit, yeah. I have 3 member guests in July.
Is that a dumb question? No, I'm just kidding.
That was my lead-in. Okay. Talked about goal setting, and I know we've heard that, Bobby and I at least have, maybe a lot of new people on the call tonight. And so you touched on it just a little bit, so you're trying to find your why, you're trying to find your goals. And Reagan has given us many different tools about doing that. But I think that the big key here is, how do you really hone in on that when maybe, like you said, you don't need a bigger house, you don't need any other boats, you'd rather rent it, you don't need any cars. And there may be some people who maybe do want to get that stuff, and maybe other people who don't want that. How do you hone in on what really is important to you?
Well, I think I like to break it down into sections, right? So as I mentioned before, my sections are how I feel spiritually. And once again, remember, I come from the place that I want to be growing, because nothing's ever static, right? So from where I'm at, I need to improve these things for me to be happy. Otherwise, I won't get the juice. I don't get the happiness, right? So, I'm looking at spiritually, I always start with that. And then I very quickly come down into what are my goals with Jennifer, right? Are we getting the right quality time? Is there some vacations we want to put in, or there's some things we want to do, or the places we want to go? Do we want to, get a regular exercise schedule? Whatever that is, that would wow, that would be cool. Boy, if we could do that, that'd be awesome. And then I do it with my kids. And then right now, of course, my kids are, kind of gone. Jake's here for the summertime, but so one of my goals right now is to make sure that I'm regularly phoning Michaela, and making an effort to make sure I'm checking in with her, because she's so busy, she probably won't be calling me. And so that's one there. My business goals, we're always looking at our leadership and how can we, create more events, create better opportunities for them to build. What are we going to do at the conference? What are we going to do with the boot camps? As you start building your business bigger, there's a whole bunch of things that you're always looking at in terms of what can we do for the whole group that'll make it all easier, better, and faster for them. And and then on the personal side, it's okay, where's my health? Where's my exercise? Where's my fun? Where's all that at? And I start asking those questions to myself, and I usually spend, I probably spend 2 hours on this. Now, during that 6 months, during every day of my life, I'm always looking for something that somebody else has so I can steal it and make it my own, right? I'm always looking, saying, wow, that would be cool. I like the way they do that. That's a neat situation, right? I'd like to make that part of mine. And I'm grabbing that stuff and putting that down so that I make that something that I want to have happen too. So I'm never at a loss for things that I want, things that they were material in the beginning. They're not so much material today. They're more experience and growth of the team and growth of other people oriented. I mean, I certainly would love to have a lot more money so I could give a lot more. But if we, like I said, what if we have $50 million? It doesn't really change our lifestyle. There's nothing in our lifestyle that I would really do any different. But it does change our giving. The impact we can make in the charities that we're committed to.
And that's where the juice is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Sean, thank you so much. You're amazing as always. So appreciate you being willing to come and just bless our team. Just top of the helm up there for us, steering the ship. So
thank you guys. Thank you all. We so appreciate everything you do. We know this isn't always the easiest business to do. It's not easy to get yourself self-motivated every day, but it is worth it. Very worth it. Thank you.
all right, thanks you guys. Good night.
Yeah.
Love you guys.